We'd like to welcome Balaji Jagannathan to the Streaming Media Producer Red Carpet Interviews here at Streaming Media East 2013. Balaji, tell us a little bit about your company, the company name, RiverSilica, how you got founded and what you do.
One of the things is the company was founded in Bangalore, and the name comes from a very metaphoric relationship to water. And water actually is something that takes the shape of a solid that it can be put into. So from that perspective, it kind of connotates that we move towards streaming in the river and sort of what I call as a metaphoric relationship. And silica is basically the poetic justice to silicon. So that's basically the background of the name RiverSilica. And interestingly, one of the things that we probably are very close to looking to build a product that is closer to streaming, which is what I'm going to talk about later, is because India, probably where we come from, and the company where we are founded, which is in Bangalore, is actually a place, India, which is as close or as equal to Hollywood. So there's so much of content available, there's so much of video information that goes on. I guess probably we are well suited to be in this kind of marketplace. So that's to start off as an introduction.
Very good. I've spent some time in Bangalore and Hyderabad, South Indian cinema, as well as Bollywood, and I completely agree. Hollywood is big to us in the US, we export well, but just the mass amount of content that comes out of Indian cinema is certainly significant. So you do transcoding, and with transcoding, you're obviously looking to move content into various different formats. But as I understand from the name Silica, also you started out with the idea of either an ASIC or an FPGA, and yet you've transitioned a bit as well. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, gladly so. We basically started to do a sort of an ASIC and an FPGA for transcoding to start with, and then as we started putting things in perspective, we did quite a bit of analysis, and we are pretty close to building an FPGA for transcoding, and I must say very close to. And we started looking the cost per stream, and also the flexibility required to build this particular formats that are coming up. And with these two things, actually, we felt that we were at a bit of disadvantage, and then we started looking to see how we could harness the algorithms that we had built to create high-performance transcoding, and we moved it to a general-purpose processor, or GPP. We felt that we could get better advantage. So that's a kind of transition that we did. We have actually seen one world which is on the ASIC side. We are seeing the GPP side of it. I guess probably we are in a better position to tell you which one works better.
So in the industry of transcoding, we have general purpose processors, as you talked about, the standard CPUs. Then we have DSPs that some companies have focused on. We have GPUs that other companies have focused on. And then we have, on the high end, kind of ASICs and FPGAs. For you, in doing the work with general purpose processing, do you feel that you have an advantage over systems that, say, claim faster speeds or better quality because they use a GPU as opposed to a CPU, or do you do a combination of both of those?
Well, right now we actually do quite a lot on GPP, and we might look at a GPU at some point of time, but whatever we are doing right now, we've optimized our software, and we have added a lot of top-up algorithms, and then those top-up algorithms are really serving us the purpose. And if you want to add up GPU, it would be an icing on the cake for us right now.
Okay.
So that's exactly how we look at it right now. And one of the things that I see is that transcoding is entirely a different perspective compared to encoding.
Right.
And they two distinct elements. So if you have to do transcoding, it needs a different kind of perspective. You also need a bit of flexibility, and also data that you can get from decode that you can analyze and then create an advantage when you take it to encode process, basically. So to do all of that, you need to have a mechanism that suits that kind of smart transcoding as opposed to pure encoding.
So let's talk about some of the things that your company claims. Fast transcoding, lower price, higher quality. One of the things you told me before we started was a lot of that is around the algorithms, and you alluded to the algorithms here just a moment ago. Talk a little bit about what you think is the secret sauce for the company in terms of those algorithms.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty interesting stuff. We actually spent nearly 3 years in trying to put together a bunch of algorithms, or what we want to call it as tool sets, basically. And these tool sets help us to harness different kind of performance, extract different kind of advantages when we try to do transcoding. And transcoding essentially need not have to get into one type of application. You got offline, you got online, you get purely online, but you want to only manage the bit rates, or you want to do online, but you want to manage the frame rates, for example. So you got all these parameters that keep going on. So to do that, what one needs is some kind of a technique or algorithmic technique that sort of takes the information on both decode and encode, and then figure out how exactly we can manage or manipulate those information to get where we want to go. So these algorithms basically are, we are filing close to about 11 patents in this area, and largely it comes from our brand names are Raft, which is actually our RiverSilica's algorithms for transcoding, and algorithms based on us are SAND for scene detection, or algorithms for HELM, or what we call as HELM. These algorithms basically, if you notice, they're all very nautical terms,
right,
basically.
Exactly.
So these algorithms basically help us to extract information, build these tool sets.
Well, the good news is with all the nautical terms, because Inlet is no longer in the business, obviously having been acquired by Cisco,
right,
no one will confuse your products with theirs, potentially. So you mentioned too that you had actually started out at IBM. Tell me a little bit about your kind of personal journey to how you've gotten to this particular company.
Oh, excellent. I mean, thanks for asking. I mean, I'm a typical middle class boy, average Joe. And I started off building symmetric multiprocessor systems for an Indian company called Wipro. And I moved on from Wipro to IBM. I built storage processors, did product marketing, worked in multiple geographies, worked for Dell for a while. And then in 1999, actually, I tried to have a startup with a friend of mine, which went bust. Didn't have any money, was on the road.
You had the perfect timing in 1999 to have a startup with the bust coming along.
Yeah, you know what, I mean, it's pretty interesting. In 1999, anybody who had actually a telecom background did great, and we also had a telecom background. And interestingly, we had a lot of partner sensitivity, and I was a young kid then. I mean, I was about 29, 30, and then I thought, I could do well in the startup, but I just couldn't understand what was going on. By then, we were down to the last penny. And I mean, I had a choice between having another startup, or getting into a professional job back again. But I chose another startup, which is like in 2000, which got funded by City Ventures. And this startup, largely, we started building, some sort of a IP-based design services for semiconductors. And given that I had a background in semiconductors and in symmetric processing and stuff like that, so we quickly grew up, and we were a team of about 350 people out of India. We were pretty close to being number 3 as an Indian company. Had a lot of stuff going on in Japan and US, and that's where we sort of got into building image processing, processors, intellectual properties, systems, and so on and so forth. That's when my love got into the video side of things. B is, I've got a bit of personal background. My dad actually used to be, for a while, wrote some scripts in movies.
Oh, interesting.
So, both of them actually kind of got together, and then felt that this is an area, I think there is a video explosion that'll happen and be here kind of stuff. So that's sort of background where I come from.
And that takes us back full circle to the fact that, as we said, there are premium content around the world, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in the US, whether it's in India. All of that content needs to be transcoded to multiple formats. One last question before we wrap up. Primary focus on H.264, adaptive bitrate and the like, or do you also include WebM and some of the future-facing things like H.265 and VP9?
What we actually focus on is we're a true transcode company, basically. And the art of true transcode is our mantra. We're actually not too concerned about the future standards, because the way we have built the product is to make sure that any standards that we move on, we should be able to harness the advantage that we have created in algorithm. So given that scenario for us, HEVC is around the corner, we're working on HEVC as well. Given that, I think our product, from a product perspective, we can actually put together a secret sauce on top of the new product line as we go by. That's just to answer your question. And secondly, we pretty much would like to be on the ball when it comes to newer standard, the publishing side of things, or transcoding HEVC, or input, for example, a 4K, for example. So, in that perspective, yes, we are working on it, and we probably are a kind of company we will go when we wouldn't announce a product for the sake of announcing, but we will have the right things that customer wants, and the timing has to be right from that perspective. So that's one of the things that probably I strongly propagate internally as well.
Okay, very good. Balaji, thank you for joining us. Those of you who are watching this video, when you see the video on streamingmedia.com, there will also be a small write-up underneath it, but look forward to a future article about RiverSilica as well as they launch some of their new products. Thank you and have a good day.
Thanks, Tim, and appreciate it.